Thank you so much. Beyond the frenzy about the APC National Convention, the big question is the APC as a political organization is supposed, was seeking for power. They got power. But what have they done with the power? The promises, have they, those promises culminated into real performance? It's about 7 years since the party got into government under President Muhammadu Buhari. But what are the benefits of that government to the average Nigerian on the street? Tonight, I'm being joined by a member of the APC Legacy Committee. He's the former governor of Lagos State, who served 2 terms after Bola Tinubu as governor of Lagos State. He's serving a 2nd term as Minister of the Federal Cabinet, as a Minister in charge of Works and Housing. He's a lawyer. Sometimes they call him the Super Minister. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He joins us right here on the program, albeit virtually. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight. And I guess we should begin say congratulations to your party, because several times now that your party has postponed this convention, it looks so much that it will happen tomorrow. But beyond all of the rhetorics of the convention, election, who becomes the leader of the party, what position, the big question is the average Nigerian. In the 7 years of your party in government, would you say that your party has lived up to expectation based on the promises you made in 2014, 2015, and in fact at the 2019 campaigns?
Good evening, and let me say that we have done our work very diligently. We have made progress, and let me start by say that in terms of the economy and some of its drivers like agriculture and infrastructure, some of the things that our opponents said they would do and never resolved in 16 years, we have resolved or are about to resolve it in under 8 years. So in your part of the world, in the Southwest, the Lagos-Ibadan was an open sore for 16 years. It is almost finished now, and people are already beginning to experience the difference and the impact. In the northern part of the country, the Kano-Maiduguri road, the east-west connection, the 560-kilometer highway, sections of it covering over 300 kilometers have been completed. The second Niger bridge that we used to hear about only during election campaigns, and it disappears into thin air after votes have been secured on the basis of those promises, is now visible and nearing completion. The Apapa-Woro-Shoki Expressway, which is a major evacuation road for Nigeria's largest and busiest port, that road was left unattended to. It is nearly finished now. So, and these are just a sampling across sectors. Last year, we handed over sections of roads in Kebbi, in Jigawa, in Bauchi, in Cross River to Vandekia Obudu, Newe Nduma in Ebonyi State, and there's more to come. Universities, tertiary institutions, we're in 77 tertiary institutions. Their neglected internal road networks are being fixed as I speak. We've completed over 40. Bridges that were built decades ago were left unattended and unmaintained. We are restoring, rehabilitating, repairing, and maintaining over 37 bridges, and there's more to be done. Federal secretariats across this country, 25 of them were left in a state of disrepair. For the most critical people, the public service workforce of the federal government, they worked in conditions which were totally incompatible with productivity. Right now, they're wearing new looks, and we have created opportunities for people through maintenance contracts. So right now, in every state of this country, we're building a road, we're building houses, we're building federal secretariats, we're repairing bridges, or we're doing everything together in some states. So in that area, and when you look at the last GDP report, it is the biggest growth recorded in the last 7 years. don't forget that at the twilight of the previous administration, the finance minister came out to warn everybody that a recession was imminent. So if their scorecard was that good, why did they not prepare to avert that recession? So it's not whether or not a recession would have happened, it's what we have done after. We've gone into one, we've recovered from it, the one that they foretold. We went into another one that the whole world could not avoid, and we have recovered. One of the fastest recoveries globally, if you ask me. And you will see that during a recession, the most impacted people are service providers. It is the service industry that picks up last, and they are the first to be impacted. In the last GDP report, go and look at what is happening to the services sector. There's still work to be done, and whatever problems Nigeria may have, and I say this very seriously, the umbrella parish is not the answer to those problems, because many of them happened or were allowed to happen or were created during their 16 years of very unmeritorious service.
I mean, you've given a long list of some of what this government has done, and perhaps whether or not they are evenly distributed, that's another conversation. One of the biggest projects that this government was, in terms of infrastructure, is that this government will say make reference to is the second Niger bridge. I know that you've been talking about that for the Southeast people. They've seen agitation in that region of the country. But what is the latest on that? How much of the percentage can you say that that project has experienced, and when will it be effectively delivered to the people of that region and the nation?
Okay, let me correct one impression that a project located in one particular place belongs to the community or is for the benefit of those people alone. That is a very wrong, and perhaps, if you permit, that is a narrow way of looking at the location and situation of infrastructure. The port in Lagos, for example, does not belong to the people of Lagos. It belongs to the people of Nigeria. All people from all parts of Nigeria use that port. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway going on to Ore from Shagamu or going on to Oyo Ogbomoso, for example, does not belong to the people from those states. It is a pan-Nigerian highway. So in terms of connectivity, the second Niger bridge actually provides a connectivity between the east of Nigeria and the west of Nigeria. Because once you leave Asaba, you are coming to Benin and you are coming down to Undo and Ore and coming to Lagos. And if you go the other way, you are heading to the east and parts of the south-south. In terms of performance and execution, I was there barely 2 weeks ago. The bridge component of the road will be finished by April because there are just 2 gaps to close and they're launching the beams. And that was what I think the Chief of Staff to the President was trying to address when he said that will be completed in April, and perhaps there was some misunderstanding in what he meant. The bridge component, completing the bridge work, and April this year. Now, the link road, and you've seen some of the visuals, the toll plazas, the interchange at Owerri, and the link road to Asaba. All of that will be completed and opened to the public in the last quarter of this year. We're running to ensure that we do that before the end of this year, and we are optimistic, touch wood, that that will happen. We've lost time due to COVID. We've lost some time due to the Monday sit-at-home orders in the East. So we have lost every Monday opportunity for work, but we are trying, and the contractors assure us that they can make the revised deadline.
Interesting. So in terms of, I know that it's not something that will come as fast as the monies compared to the monies that have been spent on the second Niger bridge, for example. You mentioned toll. What are the expectations? How many of those points on that bridge will be tolled? And what are the revenue expectations of government on that bridge?
There is one tolling point that has 16 tolling lanes. In terms of revenue expectation, what we know for now is that the last traffic study that we did showed that the Asaba-Onitsha link was processing roughly about 29,000, 30,000 vehicles per day. What this road offers is a choice from that congestion. How many people will choose to go this way and make their journeys quicker, more pleasurable, and pay for that service is a matter that we will deal with in terms of surveys. Right now, we are rushing and doing everything to ensure that this project, like many other projects, this is not the only project we're focused on, are delivered as promptly and as effectively as we can before the end of our tenure. Of course, there are many projects that will not be finished in the tenure of this administration, the Buhari-led administration, and that would, for me, be a reason for members of the electorate to make an informed choice that who do you want to continue with it, those who didn't start it or those who started it and time didn't permit them to finish it. That would be a reason for conversation in future as the electorate make their choices. The other party has had 16 years to fiddle with this, and what they have really done is just fiddling. A lot of talk without motion or movement. Now we have momentum, and I am sure that trusted with this mandate again, we will do more, and we will complete also many more of the projects that the pressures of time and resources may not have permitted us to complete.
One major project that there is a lot of interest in is the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We're seeing a lot of activity on that road, even that preceded this government. Now, this government effectively went on site, and a lot of money has also been budgeted. Can you give us an exact day of conclusion on that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway?
Sheung, that road will be completed and open finally to full use without diversions by the end of this year. And I say that advisedly because in the last few days, I have had to explain to people some of the challenges that we see with road construction. That is a highway that processes almost 50,000 vehicles a day. So our workers and the contractors have to work in a manner that they are safe, they are not crossed, so we divert traffic. So traffic management is one major obstacle. Also, we have to recover the right of way, and that takes time working with the local communities, the state governments, and we have received cooperation from all the state governments, Lagos and Oyo states. We are working on the Ibadan side now towards the toll gate. Some electricity poles and utilities have to be relocated. That means that we have to work with the Ibadan Disco, who are the owners of those assets. These are things that you don't see. Just this evening, before this interview, I've had to approve for a gas pipeline company the right of way to lay a 60-kilometer gas pipeline, because these are other infrastructures that the economy is going to need. And President Buhari and APC's commitment is to a total infrastructure revamp for our country. Gas, broadband, airports, seaports, railway, road networks, so that we become the globally competitive nation that we can be. Provide our people with choice. You saw a few days ago the new airport in Lagos that will process 14 million passengers. I've said before that we had outgrown our infrastructure as a family, as a people. And instead of our opponents in the last 16 years to invest in expanding those infrastructure, everybody just complained and nothing got done. So the Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 1 that was built to process just 400,000 passengers a year in 1975, it was a fantastic edifice when it was open, but what was Nigeria's population then? So we outgrew it. 8 million people were using an airport annually meant to process 400,000 people. How many planes were flying in 1975? So this administration recognizes as a progressive that the way to impact and improve the condition of the human being is to provide choice, provide comfort. And so what you will see is a 14 million passenger throughput capacity per annum airport in Terminal 2. You will also see employment of 3,000 plus people operating, using, maintaining, and making that place a proper destination for all of those who visit. So Minister, for those of our opponents, I need to say this, for those of our opponents who say that infrastructure does not help the economy, they should find something else to say. they're totally wrong. And they should not say it on behalf of Nigeria anywhere in the world. They will embarrass themselves.
All right, Honorable Minister, I have a few questions within the limited time that we have. And quickly, I'd like to ask you, give us an understanding of what is happening to the street light infrastructure on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Something is happening there, but you can shed light on that. What exactly is happening to the street light infrastructure on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway?
Okay, so I don't exactly know which part, but let me tell you, globally across the world, it is not standard practice to put street lights on interstate highways. What is best practice is that in the last few kilometers into any major city that highway connects, then it is lit up. So the ingress into Lagos and the exit out of Lagos will be part of this street lighting. As you approach Oguntu and the built-up areas, you see street lighting. Between Shagamu and some of the parts that are just largely farmland on both sides, standard practice worldwide is not to put street lighting on them. As you approach major cities, maybe like Ugiri and Ibadan, you will see it again and on and on and that. And you can verify what I say. You don't light up a 560-kilometer route anywhere in the world or a 127-kilometer highway in the world. I haven't seen it. I would like to see those kind of things. But in terms of specifics, I don't know what exactly you're talking about.
I'd love to go into details, but I still have a few more questions. Let's move on to something else. And quickly, because I like to take you to the impact of some of these infrastructure projects, which it does look like the Muhammadu Buhari administration has a lot of interest in, and which you are playing a major role. But I mean, one thing that is embarrassing and is perhaps unsafe is some kind of the breakdown of some of the trains at some lonely parts of the tracks. What is happening and what is the government doing? I mean, these engines and they can break down. That's for a fact. But the question is, what is being done so as to avoid the consistent and constant breakdown of this train, leaving people insecure in some very lonely areas?
Okay, first of all, let me say that I feel very proud that in my lifetime, I can travel by a train from Lagos to Ibadan or from Abuja to Kaduna, and I've done so. And the network will expand more. Now, what is also true is that regrettably, every man-made equipment breaks down from time to time. That challenges our maintenance. We have approved a maintenance policy. We are gradually implementing them. I've told you about secretariats. They're coming, they're on the roads. And I'm sure the Nigerian Railway Corporation, who is the agency in charge of that program, will do the needful and rectify it. You know that we have also had people going to vandalize the apparatus, some of the rail tracks. NRC has responded, and they will respond to this. And my apologies to those who felt any discomfort at all by the experience. We learn from it, and we will improve in terms of service delivery. But this is the reality. Even people who have longer experience than us in managing trains, the service breaks down sometimes, and they have to bring relief and assistance. So, and I'm sure this will be investigated and appropriate action taken to ensure that it doesn't repeat itself. What you cannot guarantee is that problems will not happen. Problems will happen. What is important is that what do you do after? And we will resolve this and put it behind us.
I'm in a fix now. I have two questions left, and I don't know because of the eloquence of the Honorable Minister and being able to answer those questions within a few minutes that I have. I'd like to show you this. There are some indicators that I'd like you to talk to. You are one person that I've interviewed, and it's always very difficult sometimes to be able to get you off when you want to explain something, you explain it. You're a lawyer, so I can understand when you explain things convincingly. But I don't know how you'll be able to convince Nigerians based on what your government is doing and what it means on the food on the table of Nigerians. Look at these economic indicators with the help of our friends and financial derivatives. Look at it, Honorable Minister. Just 2 years, comparison of 2 years. Electricity, 5,440 megawatts. You have been quoted, widely, as to say, look, electricity is not a big deal. It could be fixed. But for this year, 2,000 megawatts, 63% of change. Diesel, 190. It's being sold at average price of 650 naira. Petrol, 145, 165. The bag of flour, 8,500. 2 years ago. And now, 22,500. Oil price, $43, $103. People will say, what difference does it make in terms of the economy of Nigeria? The inflation has gotten about 2.5% up. 13.2% is gotten to 15.70%. Naira, 365, 2 years ago, 582. Things have gone incredibly bad in the last 2 years if you look at these economy indicators. So if you're doing infrastructure, the big question is that in the money is in the pocket of Nigerians and the food on their table, how can this government convince Nigerians that it's making their lives better?
Well, we will make our case as the election approaches, and our convention and our report giving is the first step towards that. I cannot speak about power, and I think it would be unfair to my colleague who manages that ministry now because I don't have the details that he has. But in terms of cost of living and all of those other indices, I think it is perhaps not helpful to publish that sheet or spreadsheet in isolation. What you should do is compare it to the rest of the world. Tell me anywhere in the world where the cost of living is not rising, whether it is the UK, US, just 2 or 3 days ago, CNN was showing a footage of Americans stealing fuel. And they wouldn't be stealing if it was cheap or it was in demand. They were actually stealing. And I said, clearly, these are very challenging times globally for the entire world. So this is not an isolated occurrence that affects Nigeria only. And I think reporting and this kind of journalism that we're talking about deserves that this should be shown in its fullest context. And then the Nigerian issue is isolated. What are we doing about it? We're doing a lot about it. We're talking about it. When COVID happened, we responded. We put up an economic sustainability committee, and we cushioned the impact of the difficult times on Nigerians through a suite of measures. And the impact and the result is now there for us to see.
I regret the fact that we may not have the full time to debate with the Honorable Minister on some of these indicators, and perhaps based on the promises your government make to Nigerians need to ask these critical questions if their lives are better. But I have one more question in the few seconds left, but we'll take a break. And when we come back, everyone, we'll conclude in the few seconds we have with Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, and I will be joined by the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule, who is the Chairman of APC Convention Media Subcommittee. And the question is, where is the unity list? And who are those on that list? We'll find out right here on the program, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, and welcome back to the program, everyone. I've been speaking with the Honorable Minister for Works in the House and the former Governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, our concluding moments with him. I tell you that I've interviewed him for several times, but he's one of the very difficult person to debate with. He has a way of debating his way out of very difficult figures, which he's trying to do tonight. But there's no time to debate on those figures. But on a final note, Honorable Minister, what a lot of people will say is that, is there any difference between all these political parties? The APC, the PDP, sometimes the APC will say they are the left of the center, PDP will say they are the right of the center, the welfareists, they are this, they are that. I mean, what is the APC and what makes it different? You say you are a progressive party, and some people will say, in fact, you stole that term from them and all of that. Is the APC different from any political party? If you can do that for us in 30 seconds, we'll be glad.
First of all, there's nothing patented about the use of the word progressive. There's no patent about it. So let me dispel that very quickly. The next point to make is that what do you do? Progressivism for me means being concerned about improving the human condition. All of the investments that we have made, whether for business, for employment, all of these aim at only one thing, improving the human condition. The numbers about which you say there will be a debate and cost of living is a very welcome debate, and we will be prepared to deal with them against our opponents. But let me just remind you, our opponents had 16 years. We beat them at the peak of their powers when they had almost 30 governors. We beat them again in 2019, and we will do it again because I don't remember them providing one alternative to the all options we are giving or an alternative to the measures that we have proposed. So they have really been an uninspiring opposition. And when the time comes, we will show that to the Nigerian people that we are still worthy of their trust and worthy of their services because we can solve these problems. The umbrella is not an alternative to any of the problems that Nigeria has.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, that's just about what we can take on the program tonight. But this debate, I guess, is a time for us to talk policy and governance. Is a season this year because we're going into the election year 2023, and I guess we'll have these conversations. But thank you so much for coming on tonight. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Honorable Minister for Works and Housing. Thank you so much indeed, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Thank you for having me.